Russia affirms that Syria's future can be determined by Syrians inside and not outside, reiterating its position for finding a political solution to the crisis. President Ahmadinejad renews his country's opposition to any foreign intervention in Syria. Our army units inflict heavy losses on terrorists in different parts of the country. Good afternoon, this is Yarado Krikorian with the news in English. Chinese Foreign Minister Yang Jiechi has reiterated his country's commitment to an objective, just and responsible stand as well as a positive role to solve the crisis in Syria. During his meeting with the Deputy Foreign and Expatriates Minister Dr. Faisal Miqdad in Beijing today, the Chinese minister expressed hope Syria would come out of the present crisis and restore stability as soon as possible. So Jiechi said China understands the difficulties Syria is facing, stressing his country's intention to continue exerting efforts to reach a political solution to the crisis. He voiced China's interest in the viewpoints of the Syrian side and in maintaining communication through diplomatic channels. On his part, Dr. Miqdad expressed Syria's appreciation for the efforts China has exerted regionally and internationally to solve the crisis in Syria, praising China's stance in international circles to solve world problems through full respect of the UN Charter and the principles of international law, particularly non-intervention in other countries' affairs and combating terrorism. The Deputy Foreign Minister surveyed the political program to solve the crisis in Syria and the steps taken by the Syrian government in implementation of this program. The Russian president's spokesman, Mr. Dmitry Peskov, has affirmed his country's conviction that Syria's future is determined by concerned parties inside, not outside Syria. Peskov said Russia's stand is distinguished because it maintains contact with the government of President Bashar al-Assad, whom it considers as Syria's legitimate president, as well as with the representatives of the opposition. The Russian official added that his country is working with its international partners to guarantee dialogue among all Syrian parties. He appreciated the opposition's readiness for dialogue, which should start, he said, in Damascus between President al-Assad and the opposition. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Gennady Gatilov has said Western countries are not exerting the necessary efforts with the opposition, adding that this is one of the reasons why no progress has so far been achieved in solving the Syrian crisis. Gatilov reiterated his country's emphasis on the importance of reaching a political solution to the crisis in Syria and convincing all parties of the need to sit at the table of dialogue. He added that if the opposition realizes that there is no way out of the crisis except through a political settlement and dialogue with the government, the issue will no more be in stalemate. Gatilov hoped the American administration would change its stand towards the Syrian crisis. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has reiterated rejection of foreign intervention in Syria, affirming the need to support the Syrian people in realizing national understanding in order to solve the crisis, adding that such support is everybody's responsibility. In an interview published by the Egyptian Al Ahram Daily prior to his participation in the Islamic Summit's meetings in Cairo today, Nejad said Syria should be run on the basis of national understanding among all the Syrian people who have the right to choose their own officials through free elections. Ahmadinejad warned against the impact of what is happening in Syria on neighboring states. He said some countries give wrong analysis of the current circumstances in the region and find their interest in igniting tension in some neighboring states. Meanwhile, the activities of the 12th Islamic Cooperation Organization Summit opened in Cairo today with the participation of the presidents and prime ministers of 26 states out of 57, the total number of the organization's member countries. The agenda of the summit will discuss the situation in the region as well as the increasing Israeli settlement construction activity in occupied Palestine. The organization's foreign ministers had concluded yesterday the summit's final draft communiqué. Speaker of the Iranian Shura Council, Ali Larijani, has warned that shaking up Syria's stability serves the interests of Western forces and the Zionist entity. Larijani's statement came during telephone calls he conducted with the Omani, Kuwaiti and Jordanian House speakers on the situation in Syria. The officials condemned the Israeli aggression on a scientific research center in Jumraya in Damascus suburbs. They stressed their stand on Syria's side in confronting the Zionist entity's aggressions. Larijani said the Zionist entity is the enemy of the Islamic world and should not be allowed to take advantage of the current circumstances in Syria in order to continue its hostile policies against Islamic states. A media source announced that the news circulated by some TV channels are groundless and lack any credibility. The source added that this fabricated media campaign seeks to raise the low morale of the terrorists after being severely hit by the Syrian Arab army. As part of its continuous efforts to target armed terrorist groups in Damascus countryside, the Syrian Arab army carried out several military operations in the provinces of Erbil, Zamalka, Harasta and Spene, inflicting heavy losses upon terrorists. The operations destroyed the terrorist hideouts with all the weapons and ammunition inside, along with their criminal tools that were used against residents and public and private properties. Two suicide car bombers blew themselves up using explosive devices near a bus station west of a residential area in Palmyra. The two terrorist attacks caused the martyrdom of a number of citizens and left behind huge material damages. In Deir ez-Zor countryside, an army unit in cooperation with local residents intercepted a terrorist group which tried to attack a water refinery station in the town of Jazrat Milaj, killing and wounding a number of gunmen. In Idlib countryside, an army unit attacked terrorist hideouts in Saraqib town, killing and wounding a number of gunmen. As part of its initiative to conduct dialogue with different political parties and blocs, the Syrian National Party discussed with the Arab Solidarity Party means and mechanisms of finding a common vision among all political blocs to try to find a solution to the crisis in Syria. The two parties also reviewed preparations for the upcoming comprehensive national dialogue among all Syrians. The High Relief Commission continues to provide support to families affected by crimes committed by terrorist groups. A commission work team was assigned to follow up the preparations to send the required assistance and basic needs to a number of governorates, in addition to activating subcommittees in the governorates to facilitate the task of the commission. Commission experts stressed that the infrastructure and the procedures taken to house displaced families have been taken to secure the safe return of all citizens. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more news about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Khalid Saqabani after a short break.